Welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to be back online, okay? Homegirl been busy, y'all know the spill, right? Okay, so I just finished watching Honk for Jesus. Now, it's been out for about a week, and I saw some not reviews, but just people saying, oh, I didn't like it, it was blah, blah, blah. And then I saw something on Facebook where they were like, you can't watch it with your church eyes. It's satire. So I'm like, okay. So I watched it, and it took me a little minute to notice that it was a documentary, like mockumentary. The pastor and his wife, the lovely Miss Regina Hall, you can't go wrong with her, were doing a documentary in the movie because, come to find out, the pastor or bishop, preacher, I kind of get those titles mixed up, but anyway, the pastor had like some kind of sex scandal, right? So I'm like, oh man, I'm thinking this probably was some women in the church and what have you. Well, come to find out, homeboy on a DL, and like we had some foreshadowing of that because there was a sex scene between him and his wife, and it was like very awkward. He had to beat himself off to get off. It was like, and I'm like, is he having some impotent issues? Like, what's going on? Well, he really doesn't like women. And we'll get back to that too, about how there's women who know that their husbands are gay, but they just stay in a marriage. So anyway, it took me a minute to kind of get in it. Like, once I realized what the scandal was, the movie started to pick up a little bit more. And so basically they are like pretty much like in competition with this other church that's opening on Easter Sunday. They're planning on opening back up Easter Sunday, even amidst all these allegations, right? So the cameras are following them around and they're showing their life, and I guess, like in real life, trying to bond with the people, the common folk, like, hey, this is us. Okay, so I can kind of see why like churchy people probably don't like the movie, because for one, there's profanity, you got a sex scene. I think a lot of times church folk forget that you are human. The pastor's human. As far as him being, on the DL, I mean, how many pastors have, messed with women in the church? I don't know if the whole messing with men, or in his case, like teen boys, early 20s boys, is what turned people off, but it is what it is. It reminded me of that episode of Yolanda Van Zandt where that was exactly how it was. The pastor was married to this woman and he was gay, and he pretty much was using her as a beard. That's a term that they use for women who are married to gay men and they're trying to hide the fact that they're gay. Okay, so back to the whole she's in this marriage knowing that he's gay. I don't know if women who are in that position do it for the status, or maybe they just don't want to be alone, or maybe, they've been together so long that it's like, well, I don't want to have to go back into the dating world and date again, start over. I might as well just stay with this man, even though he actually likes men. And for the guys that are on the DL, I can't imagine how it may feel to not be able to be your true, authentic self, or to feel like you can't be your true, authentic self and have to live a lie to please others or your family because they're religious. I do have some people in my family, some cousins of mine whose parent, they were raised up in the church, and they were, it took a long time for them to come out and everything. So shout out to those who do feel comfortable enough to live in their truth. It's an awesome thing when you can live your life and be who you are truly. Okay, so the way the movie was shot, it kind of reminded me of like The Office, like the weird camera angles and people looking dead into the camera. I haven't watched Office, to be honest, but I've seen plenty of memes and short scenes of it. But I guess that was a part of the whole documentary thing, because when they weren't doing the documentary in the movie and it was just playing as a movie, the camera was still. So some parts I want to talk about, like, he couldn't hide his DL-ness. I just made that up. He couldn't hide it, and there was a few times in the movie where, he would stare a little too long at a young man, and there was a scene where his wife came into the gym, and she could tell that he was trying to flirt with the young man. But again, she wants to keep her position as first lady. I guess it's the status, the power, what have. So Honk for Jesus, the title, shows up in the movie when they're basically trying to get people to join their church again the same Easter Sunday as this other church opening. So they're on the street with signs. She's saying with signs, Honk for Jesus. They got that funny looking Jesus statue. That statue scared the hell out of me. They started the movie with it and ended the movie with it. It was scary. Anyway, so this one girl came up to her and she was like cussing her out, saying her acting was, I wasn't a fan of the acting. All right. I was just kind of like, girl. But anyway, I don't want to call it a breaking point or pivotal, but in one part of the movie when they were out doing the Hunt for Jesus thing, campaigning for people to come back to their church for Easter, this car pulls up and it was this young boy that he had messed with, and he was like, yeah, do you still like me? Yeah, you got me the Camaro and I found out I'm not the only one. And it's like, wow. And what I don't understand is when the boy was going off and then he went back in his car and drove off, he said what he needed to say. His wife walks off, storms off. She's all upset. And it's like, I don't know if she was embarrassed that it was out on display or what, because she knew he was on a DL. So I don't know what all that storming and running off in the church was about and everything. But hey, so it ends with like she has on her mime makeup. I think in church it's praise dancing, where it's the white makeup right on the face and they're dancing. She has that on, and basically the preacher's trying to save face at the end because the boy done cussed him out and all this stuff. And the camera ends, not the camera, the movie ends with her just staring. It made me think a sequel was happening because she's just staring off into the camera, and then the credits pop up. So I don't know if they're going to do a Hunt for Jesus again. Please. I don't know. I will say this. I looked at the movie for what it was. It was satire. So I totally agree with what I saw online, whereas you can't look at it through churchy eyes. You got to watch it for what it is, which is satire. Now, is this something I'll watch again? Probably not. I will say this, though. The guy that played the preacher, I think his name is Sylvester something, he is gorgeous. He is a gorgeous man. And there's a scene where he took off his shirt and got in that baptizing water. Oh, my goodness. But anyway, shout out to the writer and director. A lot of times as artists, we could see things one way the general public might not get the grasp of. But I think there's a lot of issues in the movie that people that need to be talked about. The whole DL thing. Some ministers or preachers living extravagant lifestyles, and how people like to put on this facade about things. Like it's this conversation starter, definitely. But anyway, if you want to check it out, it is on Peacock. If you have Xfinity, it's free. All you have to do is just create an account. All right. As always, y'all, peace and blessings, man. Good to be back. Y'all have a good one.